Hello there, this is Anna Amelia from Northeast Animal Rights. Welcome to another one of our Saturday Spotlight interviews, and today we are delighted to welcome along David from Vegan Business Tribe. So hi David, and welcome, and thank you very much for doing this.
No, thank you. And I've got to start off by saying this is actually quite exciting because usually I'm the person interviewing people, but it's also a little bit intimidating because I'm not used to being on the other side of the microphone. So I'm actually going to be quite interested to see how this goes.
I'll be very gentle, don't worry.
Oh, thank you.
So our first question which I ask everyone is, can you tell me about your vegan journey, please?
Yeah, and I tell you what, I love listening to other people's vegan journeys as well, because everyone's a little bit different, and I think when you're of our generation, quite often we came to veganism later in life, and that sort of really influences the vegan journey. So my own vegan journey, it was nothing to do with animal activism or compassion. It was just a way of trying to control what I eat a little bit better. So I have a little bit of a corporate businessy background, so I'd always be going to business events and networking meetings. And when you go to these sort of sessions, usually there's a massive pile of like bacon sandwiches or sausage sandwiches. And what I'd find was I'd go to these events and I'd just kind of, I'd be a grazer, and I'd leave having eaten like three or four, different bacon sandwiches and things like that. So, just as a way of trying to control my waistline for more than anything else, I went vegetarian because I thought, well, if I just don't eat those foods, I'm going to have to go find those healthier options. And it kind of worked as well. And I was vegetarian purely for my health to try and, lose a little bit of weight, get healthier for many, many years. But then the online algorithms that dictate our online lives, they just caught up with me. And I don't remember what I was doing on YouTube. I was looking for some vegan recipe or something like that. But then the next video up, it was of all these lovely baby fluffy chicks. And I thought, oh, this is really nice. And it was within an egg factory. And I thought, oh, I wonder what's going to happen to all these little baby chicks. And they went into a macerator. And I was just, what the hell is going on here? I thought, what kind of, third world backwards country does this to chickens? And I found out it was a UK chicken factory, and it just absolutely shocked me. And I could not believe that. And learning about the egg industry, that then led me into learning about the dairy industry. I was one of those people as an adult who just thought that cows just naturally made milk, and they were happy that we took it off them. And when I learnt all this, I think my overriding feeling, it was just anger. It was anger that I'd been lied to for my entire life. It was anger that I'd been tricked into living a lifestyle that just didn't match my basic levels of compassion. And I think in many ways that kind of anger, and that's still been so upset that I didn't know this, that is really what fuels everything that I've done after that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people. I came into veganism through vegetarian as well,
Mm.
and exactly the same sort of thing as you. You think that you're doing the right thing, and you're totally oblivious to the fact that cows don't need to be milked, shouldn't be milked. Cows are not getting killed, that sort of thing. Well, of course they are. So yeah, I feel that it's interesting to hear, how many people do actually come through from from vegetarianism.
I
So
think that can help as an activist as well, Ben, because
yeah,
I mean, quite often, if you've come through that route yourself, it means that you actually understand where somebody else is at the moment. And I always say when I'm talking to somebody who isn't vegan, I can't take the moral high ground because, I didn't turn vegan until I was in my 40s. And so if I'm speaking to someone about veganism, I'll say, look, I've consumed more animal products than you have, most likely. And, I think having that point of commonality, that really helps when you're talking about veganism to non-vegans.
yeah, it does. Yeah, exactly, absolutely. So, Vegan Business Tribe. Okay, so how did you discover there was a gap in the market for this, and how and why did you set this up?
Oh, this is absolutely brilliant. And again, talking about stories. When you talk to somebody who's got a vegan business, everyone's got their story of why they started a vegan business. And to be honest, they're kind of really similar. And my own story on this is myself and my wife, Lisa, we were running quite a successful marketing and business growth agency. Well, I was earning far more than I do now, put it that way. And actually, one of our largest clients was Arla Foods, the UK's largest dairy company. We actually ran their internal marketing campaigns to help them reduce their carbon footprint. And so this is what we were doing, making a very good career out of it, making quite a good life to ourselves. And then we turned vegan. Myself and my wife, we both turned vegan at the same time, which was absolutely brilliant. And I think that when you turn vegan, the same sort of journey happens. Is you start to think about food because that's the obvious place. But then you start to look at the clothes you wear, your cosmetics, and what you're putting on your body. But at some point, and especially if you are an angry new vegan, as myself and my wife Lisa were,
Yeah.
you start to think, well, what am I doing with my time? I'm really passionate about this. I want to tell other people about it as well. And so we said, well, we've got these skills that we use. We help companies grow. We help companies promote themselves. So let's just go and help vegan businesses grow.
Mhm.
And we learned really, really quickly that vegan businesses have got no money. So if you can imagine, we were going out there, offering consultancy rates, what we used to charge in our past life, as it were, and finding these great vegan businesses, but none of them could afford to work with us. Not many of them were answering our phone call. So I actually spent 2 years going and working with non-vegan businesses to help them understand the vegan marketplace and vegan consumers and why more people were buying vegan. But we kept coming back to this idea that no, we want to help vegans, we want to help vegan businesses. And so we thought, well, if we can't do that in a one-to-one way, because people can't afford those
Yeah.
consultancy rates, could we do it in a collective way instead? And that's pretty much where Vegan Business Tribe came from.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was laughing when you said the angry vegan. I mean, you're right, because we all go through that phase, don't we? If you're not
We
born
are,
into it,
yeah,
you all go into the angry vegan kind of like, what the hell is everybody what are you doing? Can they not see what we
yeah,
see? You know? And I
yeah.
remember Julie Gallaty said that. That was quite early on when she said she started her activism. She went to visit some sort of farmers exhibition thing,
Mm,
and she said she came away and she just couldn't believe that
mm,
people didn't get what she got. And that stuck with me because we have me and my members in our group who are relatively new vegans, and I always say to them that this will pass. You have
mm,
to turn the anger into something more productive.
mm.
But it is quite funny, sort of like kind of reflecting back on how angry I was when I first became vegan. So yeah, it's that totally rings true with me.
Well,
So
that's what a
what?
lot of people do. So, sorry to jump in there. That's what a lot of people do. But when you launch a business kind of out of passion, that does give you a little bit of a superpower as well.
Yeah,
Business is hard, and anybody watching or listening to this who has had their own business or is running one now, they will know how hard it is.
yeah,
The hours that you have to put in, the hardships you go through just to
yeah,
actually, have your own business. But
yeah,
if you've got that passion, you've got that anger, that gives you a superpower. And
yeah,
so if you can tap into that, all you've got to do then is kind of learn how to do it. And
yeah,
that's a big part of what Vegan Business Tribe is as well. It's actually just, taking people who maybe don't have a business background and just
mhm,
helping them get the basics right, get
yeah,
the things in place, which is actually going to make their businesses have that bigger impact.
yeah. So how do you vet your businesses to make sure? I mean, I presume when someone contacts you or you see them, and kind of like, so how do you vet them to make sure that they are definitely within the definition of veganism, but also that they stay that way as well? So
Now,
how do you kind of monitor
Now,
that?
yeah, interestingly, we don't actually vet our Vegan Business Tribe members. So we
Right.
have an open door policy,
Right.
but as you can imagine, it is self-selecting, and
Yeah.
99% of our members, they are vegan themselves, and
Yeah.
those that aren't, they are on that journey. And in fact, we've had some really great success stories of people
Yeah.
joining, being surrounded by other vegans, and it's helped
Yeah.
them make those last few changes. But
Yeah.
we do have a separate scheme as well that we launched this year. So we've got something called Certified Vegan Business,
Yeah.
and that is a certification process for businesses to
Yeah.
actually prove that they are vegan. And if
Yeah.
someone's going through that, then that is a full-on certification process where there are 4 codes of conduct that they need to sign up to just to make sure
Mm.
that they are. Because I think quite often when people think they've got a vegan business, they don't always think all the way through that business. So,
Yeah.
what are you actually buying? Are you taking clients out for meals and paying for
Mm.
their non-vegan food?
Yeah.
Because if you are, then that's something that you really need to stop and you really need to look into.
Yeah.
What kind of products are you buying in your business? Are you actively going out and trying to use other vegan businesses as well? Because we're very big on creating this
Yeah.
vegan business ecosystem and vegan businesses working together. So
Yeah.
that's really important as well. So yeah. So for the main Vegan Business Tribe, that tends to be self-selecting, but we have a little bit of an open door on there. But if
Yeah.
you want to go through our certification process, that's a little bit different.
Yeah, I like the sound of that because I mean I know there was a vegan traders union and I don't know what's happening with that because we
I don't either. Yeah.
yeah, they had we run a festival as well. So one of the things in our application form is if you are a member of the vegan traders union, we'll give you a discount. But
Mm,
that's
mm,
kind of, I think that's gone by the way. So to
mm,
have something like if you're a member of Vegan Business Tribe certification, we will give you a discount.
Yeah, perfect.
because we want to be seen to, promote businesses who, we do have, traders who come to our festival who are not vegan. They have a
Mm,
plant-based offer
mm,
or a cruelty-free offer,
mm.
but we do want to kind of support and also reward, I suppose, those who are kind of, making the difficult choices, because it is really hard to be a vegan trader. I
Yeah,
know that from talking to
yeah.
them, and a lot of them have got part-time jobs as well because they have to do that to survive. So it is really hard. I mean, I'm kind of coming on to the next question. So apart from obviously the obvious challenges, like the cost of living crisis at the moment, where people are kind of they're making these choices to buy, they're looking for cheaper food, cheaper products, and everything.
Mm.
It's a smaller target audience, although we know it's growing. So how do you work with your businesses to try and overcome some of these challenges?
Yeah, it's really interesting, and there's lots of things that we do at Vegan Business Tribe. I mean, first of all, we give out so much stuff. We've literally got hundreds of hours of content, masterclasses, courses, sessions
Yeah,
that we run and things like that, and that's really, really important. But we also, as we were just saying, we bring vegan businesses together. So we do lots of online business clinics and networking and things like that as well. But when we're talking about what people have got the biggest challenge with, I think a lot of the time it's just knowing how to make a difference.
right.
We've already touched on this. When most people think about starting a vegan business, they think they've got to do something around food or nutrition.
Yeah,
But you can really just use whatever skills you've got.
yeah,
Most of us have had careers before we get into
yeah,
the vegan business scene, and you
yeah.
can bring those skills that you've developed over your career together with your ethics to try and make a living, but also make an impact at the first
Mm,
time. But a lot of people just don't see how they're going to do that.
mm,
But when you look at kind of our membership at Vegan Business Tribe, I think probably less than 20% of our members have actually got anything to do with food or drink.
yeah. Mm,
We've got vegan accountants, we've got vegan financial advisors like Jay from Mindful Wealth, we've got vegan
mm,
publishers and PR agents, even vegan web designers and musicians and bands. And each of those people, they're using the skills they've got to
mm,
best help the animal rights cause in some way. So, it's
mm,
really important to actually showcase these businesses to people who might be thinking, well, what can I do? And going on to that point about small marketplaces, I think for most of our vegan businesses, whether they're food businesses or whether they're service businesses or even personal services,
mm,
they find that their biggest marketplace is with non-vegans and non-vegan businesses.
mm.
Just these last few years, the whole idea of veganism, it's not got that toxic brand that it used to have 5, 10 years ago. There
Yeah,
are a lot of people who are going out looking for vegan options, even though they don't identify personally as being vegan themselves,
yeah,
because they just see it as a great way to reduce their environmental impact. It's almost
yeah.
like the same way people will do recycling.
Mm,
They want to go buy a vegan option. So
mm,
yeah, I think if you are a vegan company and you set up just to sell to vegans, you've possibly kind of missed the
mm.
whole reason for having a vegan company.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a really valid point. Actually, I was blown away by the width of of the content, the sort of
Mm,
the
mm.
type of companies you have. I mean, you mentioned a vegan accountant, which is brilliant. I think we probably need some more vegan solicitors, mind, because obviously all the activists are getting arrested, and we need proper solicitors.
We've got
So
two or three. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
We,
yeah, yeah.
we know them. Yeah.
But I saw you had a really really like wide like range
Mm,
of different companies. I mean, some of them I recognise. We have Save Nemo, who come
mm.
to our festivals. Humane Wildlife Solutions, who
Kevin, yes.
I mean, Kev. I use Kev
Yeah.
absolutely loads. He's just absolutely brilliant. He's just like kind of. He'll get a call from me maybe once every week about, can you just check me my understanding of the law with this or with it that and Karen from Mad PR, she's just brilliant. I love her a bit. So positive. And Sue at Little Green Pigeon, absolutely hilarious. I see Sue every now and again at a vegan camp. I would bump into her,
Yep.
and absolutely love her a bit. But some amazing businesses, and obviously within those ones I've mentioned there, some of them are quite small, some of them a little bit bigger, some of them are like sole traders. So, but the kind of like the point of this is these are companies which are in the UK, and I know obviously if I'm looking through the directory, you're working primarily in the UK with some in the US as well. So, do you have any sort of plans to branch out, or is it kind of that self-selecting process so they find out about you and then you will take them on in a different country?
Yeah, it's interesting. So 50% of our members are in the UK, and then 50% are outside of the UK. And I
Yeah,
think probably the US is our next biggest footprint, and then Australia.
yeah,
And I think, I mean, it's partially because we're based in the UK, and you know,
yeah,
so we're out at UK events all the time. So that's why we
yeah,
pick up so many UK
yeah,
and European members.
yeah,
But you know, we do have members from all over the world, and you know, we've
mm,
got members in China, in
yeah,
Japan, in
yeah,
gosh, where have we got? Africa, South America. And the reason that I love having these people as part of Vegan Business Tribe is because it
mm,
educates me.
yeah,
And, you know,
mm,
just like you were saying there about people coming to you for advice,
yeah,
people come to me for advice as well. And
yeah,
every year, I mean, I've just given my annual vegan sector update for the Vegan Finance Conference last week.
mm,
And, you know,
mm,
so I kind of need to know what's going on in the world. And
yeah,
so, you know, whenever we get somebody from a country that I'm not overly familiar with, I
mm,
like to spend time with that person and just find out what's happening in their patch. And it's interesting if you look at what's happening in China at the moment. I mean, China is going to be the next massive market for vegan and plant-based products, and
mm,
especially not just for food, but the fashion as well. So if you look in China, plant-based leather is doing absolutely amazing because
right,
in China they actually call it next gen leather because
right,
they see animal leather as being something very old-fashioned that their
mm,
parents might use. But
mm,
you know, this new plant-based leather is really taken off, and especially with the affluent Chinese as well. So you know,
mm,
there's all these wonderful things that you learn when you bring
mm,
a community together. And I think you know the thing that's really special about something like Vegan Business Tribe and veganism in general is it's not our location that brings us together. It's our shared ethics, and
right,
so you know
mm,
that is just absolutely
mm.
one of the most wonderful things about what we do.
Mm. I mean, when you're saying that you're learning from other countries and each other,
Mm.
I mean, that's kind of like what I do when I talk to people like you. When I do the interviews, I learn so much.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, no, I hadn't thought about that.
yeah, yeah.
So it's been an education process for me as well, like talking to all these amazing people. Um, but I suppose the challenges in places like China. I mean, we say a lot of negativity about China because of all the the super pig farm, well,
Mm.
intensive pig farming and all that sort of stuff. But you're seeing another side of it. So you're seeing
Yeah.
sort of like the veganism kind of like actually pushing through there. I mean, I've always said that the more difficult, the country is to work in, like China, because they have such a big emphasis
Yeah.
on pigs, for example. The braver and the more courageous the activists there are as well, because they do take risks with it with their liberty and the safety. Um, but so what sort of challenges are you coming up with the companies you're working with in other countries? So what challenges are you seeing?
Well, it's interesting because I think a lot of the companies in other countries they look at the UK as
Mm,
kind of being the leading light in veganism,
right.
and you know, as an extension of that, vegan business as well. And sometimes we just don't realise that. And so, you
Yeah.
know, I was where was I a couple of months ago? I think just going over to Paris, and you know,
Yeah.
kind of travelling from Paris back to the UK, and
Mm,
having stop at service stations, and just getting a bag of potato chips as my lunch because that's the only vegan thing that I can find in the service station. So then, you know, coming back to the UK and walking into the first shop and having 5 vegan sandwiches to choose from, you know,
mm,
that's something that we really take for granted in the UK. So I think the biggest challenges that a lot of the other countries are seeing is saying, how can we get the momentum going that you guys
yeah.
have got? How
Yeah.
can we actually, you know, engage more people in veganism?
Mm,
And that's why, going back to the comment that I made, that if you've got a vegan business, you should not be concentrating on the vegans. And when you
yeah.
are operating a
Yeah.
business in a country that doesn't have as big a vegan population as we do, that becomes even more important as well. So, you know,
Yeah.
we are seeing a lots of people where I think if they're doing what they're doing in the UK, it'd just be another vegan business. But because of
Yeah.
where they are in the world, I mean, one of our members, JC de Klerk, he runs Air 269 over in Namibia and operating out of South Africa. And the challenge that he has in just the cultural challenges of getting
Yeah.
people to understand that, you know,
Mm,
eating meat is not necessarily right. It's not compassionate. You know, we've given him so much support to try and get his vegan message out there. And in return, he's seeing so much difference. He's working with people who run hunting lodges who are
mm.
putting on vegan options and vegan menus because of the people that he's bringing in
Yeah.
to you know into that area and into that region. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do think that when you run a vegan business that isn't in the UK
Yeah.
or even in the US or Australia, when you're
Mm,
running it somewhere that doesn't have that naturally large vegan
yeah.
society going on, you can actually have such a huge impact.
Yeah, I suppose what we're trying to do is, I mean, we're normalizing veganism, but we're also trying to mainstream it as well.
Mm, mm,
So
mm.
I know my husband said ages ago, probably a couple of years ago, that when we started seeing adverts for plant-based or vegan options and vegan offers, that we had pretty much cracked it. And
Yeah,
he's right, because you know, you say it's just like a matter of course now. We used
yeah,
to go, yeah, there's a vegan advert on TV. Yeah, that's brilliant. We used to record it on the phone and
yeah,
send it through. Like now it's like, oh, there's like 10 of them today.
yeah,
Know? So I think that's probably it is about like pushing it, like just constantly keeping in people's, you know, in social media and in the adverts, and you know, and that's a really, really good way. It's
yeah.
subliminal messaging for one thing, but just keeping it going. Um, but yeah, it must be really hard in some of the countries who don't have such a, you know, we are quite lucky. We don't think we are in the UK, but I think we are quite
Mm,
lucky.
mm.
I mean, in Newcastle as well, where we base ourselves, Newcastle, not Newcastle. We have, you know, we have really good options and offers around. You know, and a lot of people say there's not enough. I mean, there's never enough, but
Mm, mm.
it is really, it's so much better than when I was first vegan, sort of 17, 18 years ago, you know. So so what's your favorite part of Vegan Business Tribe?
Oh gosh. I tell you what, it's probably just getting to meet our members.
Mm,
Because we didn't mean to be a pandemic business, but we happened
yeah,
to launch right before the pandemic. So
yeah,
I think we were only going, I think, 3 months before the pandemic hit us. You know, so it led us to be an online business,
mm,
and so that's great. You can really reach out. You can reach lots of countries, but actually getting to meet our members face to face is
yeah,
absolutely amazing. And it's one thing that I try to do as much as possible. You know, getting out to vegan fairs. You mentioned vegan camp out earlier as well, but actually seeing, you know, members progression as well. You know, so if we take someone like one of our members, Sam Tucker. So Sam's based over in New Zealand and Australia,
mm,
and when he first joined Vegan Business Tribe, he was running a small digital marketing agency.
mm,
As part of that, he then went on to develop the world's first vegan AI chatbot. And you know, just as part of the interest of that, we introduced him to the Kickstarting for Good incubator, which is run by ProVeg, who were basically just looking for people to take on and to help
mm,
develop as not for profits.
mm,
And from going through that, he launched a new not for profit initiative called Open Pause, and now
mm,
he's got investors, and now
yeah,
he's going over to the States to do big
yeah,
conferences and things like
yeah,
that. But you know, when he first joined Vegan Business Tribe 3 years ago, he was just some guy in New Zealand running a
yeah,
small digital marketing agency. So
yeah,
I think just being part of somebody's journey and seeing them going from where they are now to this place where they're making a massive, huge impact,
mm,
that's probably got to be one of the most satisfying parts of what we do at Vegan Business Tribe.
yeah. I mean, I really do enjoy, you know, kind of, you know yourself, but it's like when somebody from who's like a Facebook friend who
Yeah,
you kind of like, you have this relationship with, and then you kind of meet them in person. You're like, yeah, hello, I can't
yeah,
believe I've met you, you know. But like Sue from Little Pigeon, a little
yeah,
green
yeah,
pigeon. But it's lovely when I go down to vegan camp or places like, you know, like Veg Fest or other festivals as well, and kind of like meet these people in real life, because it's so lovely. It's not like you're part of this tiny group anymore.
yeah.
You're part of this huge group.
It was actually really difficult. So at Veg Fest for the last 2 years, we've actually had our own events co-hosted within Veg Fest. So we
Yeah.
do Vegan Business Tribe live, and
Yeah, yeah,
that's,
yeah,
you know, that's like 40 speakers over 2 days at the London Olympia.
yeah,
And when we run something like that, I've constantly got people coming up to me, you know, kind of, you know, quite rightly wanting to say hello and introduce themselves because we've only ever met online, or they've listened to our podcast for the last 3 years. And doing things like that is absolutely amazing, because you you'll find this with what you're doing too. You know, you never appreciate the reach that you have.
yeah,
You never know who's listening, and
yeah,
it's a little bit like throwing a pebble into a lake, and all those ripples
yeah,
going out. You don't know how far those ripples get. So you know, when you go to a vegan event like Vegan Camp Out, like Veg Fest, and there are people who are recognizing you and coming up and saying hello to you, that's when you kind of realize that what you're doing is having an impact, and it is having
yeah,
a very far-reaching effect as well. And I think
yeah,
that's one of the things that you need to do sometimes, just to keep yourself motivated to do what you do.
yeah. So are you going to vegan camp out?
We will be at Vegan Camp Out.
Right,
So,
great. I'll come
so
along and say hello.
every year at Vegan Camp Out, I
Yeah.
walk around with a massive
I know you
sign
do.
in
I've
my
seen you
car.
with a
Oh, you've
huge
seen
thing.
it. Brilliant. Well, you need to come say hello then, because you know that's what we do, is a little bit of visibility.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I think last year we had about 40 of our members at Vegan Camp Out, and we
yeah,
actually put on a
yeah,
vegan business meetup as well. So yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
Get on our mailing
I'll
list.
definitely come and say hello this time. I have seen
Yeah.
you every time I've been to Vegan, I've seen you walking around with the big feather thing behind, the big banner. Yeah, but I didn't. You don't want to come up and say hello. I'm Anna, but I
Make
will
sure you
this
do this
time.
time. Make sure you do.
So, kind of, I mean, talking to you and obviously seeing what you do online with all the podcasts and everything and all the live stuff, you come across as somebody who's got so much energy, and you're really positive and everything. But obviously, it's you've got to have some downtime as well. So how do you have your downtime, and how do you look after your own well-being?
Well, it's an interesting conversation because one thing I learned really quickly when we started Vegan Business Tribe is actually energy is our product. It's what we
Mm,
sell.
yeah.
Energy, it is the most important resource that you've got in business.
Mm,
People say that they've got lack of money, but there's
yeah.
always ways to get more money, or they've got
Yeah.
lack of time, but there is always ways to make more time. There isn't a way to make more energy. And so I think that if someone's interacting with Vegan Business Tribe, if you come into one of our online sessions,
Yeah.
if we're just chatting, I
Yeah.
want you to leave that session feeling that you can take on the world.
Yeah.
Because then people will go on and do it as well. So yeah, it is something people say to me. You've got so much energy, David. How do you do it? But I've just got to be appreciative that that is what we are.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give people more energy, and I think when it comes into relaxation, what I try to do, and this is going to sound ever so sad, but what I try to do is I actually try to build in the business with relaxation. So, for example, if we're going to take a break, and I've got three children and a wife, and if we're going to take a break, what I like to do is I like to plan that break around vegan events that are going on or
Mm,
vegan accommodation.
yeah.
So if I looked a couple of months ago, we decided that we wanted to take a week off. So the first thing we did was we headed up to the Manchester Vegan Festival
Mm,
for 2 days,
mm,
drove down to the Cheltenham Vegan Festival, went through Bristol, down to Penzance to stay at a vegan bed and breakfast, then came back through to see the Plymouth Vegan Market. Then where did we go? And
yeah.
then came up to the Birmingham Vegan Market. And being able to do that, that just means that we're not clocking off entirely,
Yeah.
and we still got benefit in what we're doing, but we're getting time to actually spend time as a family, but also to meet these businesses and to talk to these
Mm,
businesses, spend a little bit of money with them, do some social
yeah.
media with them and things like that as well. So
Yeah.
I think whenever we are trying to get downtime, I do try and combine it some way with what we're doing at Vegan Business Tribe,
Mm,
because then
yeah.
it's it's not like you're necessarily always working. And and,
Yeah.
and and when you do have your own business and your own family, you've got that kind of agency. One thing I
Yeah.
always say to people is, remember, if you've got your own business, you are not a potted plant. You are
Yeah.
not just sat there in the corner, unable to do anything, just
Yeah.
at the whim of other people. If you've
Yeah.
got your own business, then use that, kind of build that lifestyle that you
Yeah.
want. And another
Yeah.
thing that I do is, because our youngest daughter is, she's only 1.5 years old, so
Yeah.
I do take weekdays off to spend with my daughter.
Yeah.
And I will happily do that during the week and
Yeah.
then maybe work a Saturday. And that's
Yeah.
because that's how my life works out quite
Yeah.
nicely that way as well. But I think when people have got their own business, there is this real kind of lack of giving yourself permission to structure your work and structure your day
Yeah.
around yourself and how it works best for you. And so that's something
Yeah.
that more people really should do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, very wise words. I think it's you're right. I mean, everything's just so busy and kind of
Mm.
just flat out. I mean, what I do as well. I had intended to do this part time, but it's ended up being a 24/7 job.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love it, and I do get opportunities to relax, but in sort of similar ways. I mean, I do yoga, but that's like once a week. But this is another way I relax, which I didn't realize I was doing, was when I do rescues, when I do like animal rescues,
Yeah.
because um it's like wakeful meditation, because
Mm.
you're rescuing these animals and you're totally focused on them,
Mm.
and then you see them kind of safe, and then you take them to another place of safety. So that to me is a really good way. It's a bizarre way of relaxing, but I do get a lot out of it doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're coming to the end of our time together now. It's just absolutely flown by there. So the last question for you is, what's next for you then?
Gosh, well, I think when we look at Vegan Business Tribe, we've really built it hand in hand with our members, and that's always advice I give to businesses. Don't just go and spend lots of money kind of building websites and things like that. Actually, test out a business, get some customers, and then let them tell you what you need to build next. So I'm always going back to our members. I'm always going back to our wider audience and saying what's next. And I
Yeah.
think some of the feedback that we get at Vegan Business Tribe is absolutely phenomenal. And so I imagine what that feedback would be if we were reaching 100% more people, 500% more people. What
Yeah.
difference would that make to the success
Yeah.
rate of vegan businesses around the world
Yeah.
if they came and were part of a community like ours? So that's what I'm really focusing on now. We've got Vegan Business Tribe to a nice place where we've got all the content, we've got all the resources there. We've got that community built up. So I'm looking at how can we expand, and of course that's going to be bringing in more funding, and part of that is through generating more income streams, which is why we've launched our vegan business certification scheme. And part of
Yeah.
that's about getting more back in too. So I suspect for the next 12 months it's going to be all about the finances.
Yeah. Yeah, it just sounds just so, you're so busy, and you're so committed. It's absolutely, it's fascinating listening to you. And I'm definitely going to come up and tap you on the shoulder when I see you. I might get
Please
all my
do.
group to jump on you to get a photograph, like a group photo together, because
Well,
there's loads of us going down.
well, what I usually do is I usually do live recording there. I
Yeah,
usually record podcasts. I do a lot of social media. So yeah, come and say hello.
definitely will.
We'll definitely do a video together.
Definitely will. Okay, that sounds brilliant. So we're gonna sign off now. So this is Anna Amelia from Northeast Animal Rights, talking to the fantastic David from the Vegan Business Tribe. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye for now.